Welcome. When you start listening to Nisargadatta Maharaj's discourses, even if you casually listen to his discourses, it won't take much time for you to notice his emphasis on the I am. There is a certain simplicity to Nisargadatta Maharaj's teachings. Though he held satsang discourses over a long period of time, but his teachings can be summarized around a handful of keywords. And the most important keyword that you would immediately notice is the I am. Here are just three of many of his hundreds of quotes with the core focus of I am. Let's look at just a three of those quotes. The moment you say I am, the entire universe comes into being along with its creator. The capital we have is the knowledge I am. Was it not the sense of I am that came first? All is secondary to the tiny little thing which is the I am. Without the I am, there is nothing. I am is the most important of all keywords in Maharaj's discourses, and around this keyword there are other derivative keywords like absolute or the Parabrahma, universal consciousness, individual consciousness, body mind entity. So in the first set of keywords, the most important of all the keywords is the I am. But there are other set of keywords which are equally important and they find a frequent mention in his discourses by Maharaj himself. And so what are those other keywords? Those are word, language, vital force or the prana shakti, the five elements, space, air, fire, water, earth. These are some other keywords that also find a special mention in Maharaj's discourses. But in this video, I'm just going to focus on the word and the language, the significance of word and the language. But let's first look at a few of Maharaj's quote on the role of language and the word, etc. Mind has no birth or death. Mind means language. It stops when the flow of language stops. The same applies to word. All knowledge is only in the grasp of the five senses and words. And then Maharaj is mentioning about his experience. I have experienced all four kinds of speech and transcended them. And what are those four kinds of speech? Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vakri. Now the significance of word and language is also endorsed by almost all the tradition within the Sanatan Sadhana Marg. It finds its expression in Maharaj's discourses, but at the same time, the significance of word and language is also mentioned in the other traditions of the Sadhana Marg. And in the classic text, the significance attached to word and language is everywhere, and you can't miss it. So, I have enumerated a few popular one here to impress upon you that the significance of word and language is also endorsed by the other traditions in the sadhana marg. The first thing that you need to focus on is the word Shabd. Shabd is a Sanskrit word that actually means word. But this is one of the word Shabd that frequently appears in the various other classic texts. Another word is Akshar. If you Google it, then for its meaning, then Akshar also means a syllable or an alphabet. And but these two words, the Shabd and the Akshar, they have a very profound significance. And Akshar also means word, Shabd also means word, but the word Brahma, which is frequently used to denote the supreme truth or the reality, that is also sometimes known as Shabd Brahma, or it's also called the Akshar Purushottam. So this is where you can see that the word in the language has some far more deeper meaning. And then in one of my previous videos, I have pointed out how the first and the last alphabet of Sanskrit language are used to denote the word aham. Aham is a Sanskrit word that means I. And this is a very important and significant word, aham. And it is a word that cannot be substituted by any other word. So here also you can see that the significance of the language. Now, if you Google the Kundalini Chakra images, you come across several images, and some of the images you will see these Kundalini Chakra. They have an embedded Sanskrit alphabet. All the chakras they have a specific Sanskrit alphabet. So that again shows us some mysterious connection with the language. Now, Om, which is also one of the very popular word in the classic text, and if you look at most of the mantra, then the most of the first word of the mantra is Om. So again, you see that there is a connection with the language or with the word. Even in tantric literature, if you must have seen the ferocious form of goddess, and where she is wearing a garland of 50 skulls. The goddess is also called as Panchash Munda Malini. Panchash Munda Malini. Panchash means 50. Munda means skulls. And Malini is the one that is wearing this garland. But these 50 skulls are not the skulls. These 50 skulls are actually the alphabets of the Sanskrit language. The 50 alphabets of the Sanskrit language. That is what goddess is wearing. Goddess is wearing the garland of letters. That's why Sir John Woodroffe even wrote a book, The Garland of Letters. So it is a garland of letters, the 50 letters that the goddess is wearing. So here also you find a very mysterious connection to language. And last but not the least, this is the famous Bible quote. And the Bible quote is, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." So if you explore more, you will note that many other sadhana mark traditions, they endorse some mysterious role of language. Now in this context, all these examples that I just discussed, if you once again look at Maharaj's quote, where he has mentioned that I have experienced all four kinds of speech and transcended them, the four kinds of speech, para, pashanti, madhyama, and vakri, then you can assume that there is some deep level mystery about the language. And that is so profound that it cannot be, you cannot possibly trivialize and reduce to like Sanskrit or Latin or any specific kind of a language, nor it has anything to do with our faculty of communication, because there are a lot of people with medical conditions where they are unable to speak, write, and understand the language. So the role of language in the sadhana mark goes far more deeper, and it's far more mysterious. That is what is I'm going to discuss in this video. I have never met Maharaj. I am not Maharaj's disciple, but I'm going to share my own understanding of the mystery of language, the way I have understood and learned from other guru and masters. But before we delve into the mystery of language, there is something very significant about the I am that need to be told again, that need to be re-emphasized. And one of the important thing is that all sadhana methods, all the or the meditation methods eventually lead to self inquiry or the I am. Now in Sanatan Mar, various methods of meditation are available for a sadhak or a seeker, like the Tantra, Mantra, Yantra, Raj Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ajapa, Japa, Naam Smaran, and so many others. But the Vedanta Bhumi or the self inquiry is deemed to be the highest. And all other methods, all these methods, Tantra, Mantra, Yantra, all these methods eventually merge into this method of self inquiry or the I am. So, in a way, I am is the most superior method, but there is some kind of a paradox because at the stage of I am, all sense of ego or the sense of superiority vanishes. Or, like Maharaj says, Maharaj has mentioned that the all sense of proprietary vanishes at this stage. So this is actually a most humbling stage, though it is in a way the most superior method in the Sanatan Sadhana Marg. Now let's look at another of Maharaj's quote. The capital we have is the knowledge I am. Was it not the sense of I am that came first? Now I am is prior to everything, and let me explain to you. Long back, I had read a story in one of the books called Tripur Rahas that I'm going to share over here. And why I am is the most prior, because when you say my computer, then at that time my is different. My is a separate entity, and the computer is a separate entity. You know that, and my is prior, and also my is separate from the computer. Similarly, when you say my body, the same thing happened. You get that feeling that my is different and body is different. And my is prior to the body. Similarly, when you say my heart, the same thing is there. You are not heart. My is different, heart is different. Even when you say my soul, then the soul is different and my is different. Or even for the my God. So my God also means my is different and the God is different. So my is in a way is very elusive. It always becomes prior, and you cannot possibly equate it with anything, or you cannot possibly put a finger on anything and say that this is what my or I am is. So let's assume that science announces about the exact location of I am or my center. Let's say science says that they have found this part to be the my center or the I am center. Then just like you say my body or my soul or my heart, you will start saying my center. So intuitively you know that my is different from that my center. Or the idea is that even for the science, it is impossible to identify and reduce something to an I am or the my center. So this is also very important when we are keeping the significance of the I am in our mind. And then let's look at the scientific inquiry versus the self inquiry. Okay, now in science there is a lot of technological development, and sometimes we get this impression that as if, especially with the modern contemporary science, we get the impression as if given sufficient time they would be able to solve all the questions of the life. This is not possible. For example, let's look at a simple question about gravity. Now you can ask, why do things fall down and not up? And science might have an answer. Science might even come up in future with some kind of a technological advancement where even they can manipulate gravity in some future, their future cities and all that. But the question, why do things fall down and not up, is still not answered. Or if suppose tomorrow science is able to send things upwards using gravity, then you can all ask the question, why do things go up and not down, right? And if they are able to manipulate gravity where things go up and down, then still you can frame the question that why things go up and why things go down. Or you can even ask the question why gravity at all. These questions are not very appreciated in the science community, but one can ask these questions and intuitively you know that there are no answers. You can keep on asking the questions and none of these questions can be answered. Why gravity at all? This question can never be answered. And this is true for any questions in life. For example, let's take another thing, why there is something rather than nothing. These are some of the profound, very philosophical questions in science, and it seems like at some point science will be able to solve this question. But you can always ask that if there is something, then you can say why something. If there is nothing, if you can, you ask why nothing. If there is something as well as nothing, then you can ask why there is something and why there is also nothing. So you see, these questions can never be asked. You can just put a question mark and it becomes endless. Science has no answers. It only creates a perception that it has answers, but very basic questions cannot be answered. And all you need is a sense of awe. You don't have to be a scholar or a PhD. You just need to have a sense of awe to ask these questions, and then intuitively you know that it is not possible for the science to answer the basic questions. And then of course there are questions about the end of universe or why did our universe begin. But if you look at what is the thing that is the most nearest to you, apart from the questions regarding the end of the universe or even about your body or about matter or anything, then you realize that it is the sense of I am that is the nearest to you. Even when you are watching this video, the sense of I am is active inside you. That is the nearest, that is you. Okay, and this itself is very mysterious. This sense of I am, that is the nearest and the dearest and the closest to you, is still very mysterious to you. So, at some point, when you are seeking about the profoundest of all the questions in life, then as a seeker, you might want to look at the scientific inquiry versus the self inquiry or the I am. And in this context, when you look at Maharaj's quote, all is secondary to the tiny little thing which is the I am. Without the I am, there is nothing. So now that we have asserted about the significance of I am, this was our first set of keywords, and where we mentioned that I am was the most significant keyword. So now we are ready for exploring the mystery of language from the other keywords. And but that I'm going to upload as a separate video as soon as possible. Thanks for watching this video.